less here because I think a lot of the students have exited. So I'm going to try again. Good morning, everyone. Was that good, Jonathan?
I think they can do better.
Good morning, everyone. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. My name is Vatsari Sivangsai, and I am the Massachusetts Education Justice Alliance Director. We are bringing folks together here at the press conference and also throughout the day to advocate for the Thrive Act. But first, before we jump into the discussion today and the share out, we want to do a special thank you to our legislative aides and our advocates, our families, our students, our parents, our educators, and school staff. Today is only possible because of everyone's contribution. So we thank you. Woo! We also want to do a special shout out to our bill sponsors. In the Senate, we have Joe Comerford and Liz Miranda. Hello. Senator Joe Comerford is here. And in the House, we have Representative Jim Hopkins, who will join us as well today. And we also have Representative Sam Montagna. So we're thankful for their collaboration on Beacon Hill, and we're super thankful for the collaboration of the community. The Thrive Act is a big opportunity. It's a major education policy bill that looks at two interconnected policies, the state takeover and also the MCAS as a high school requirement. As you have seen throughout the decade and multiple decades, that these two policies, well intended, have been implemented without our community's voices. Decisions have been made for us without us. And the rollout has been super harmful. It has been more punitive and destructive and disruptive to our students, to our families, to our schools. During COVID, we saw the data, and you might see some data rolling out again today and in the next few months from community organizations and policy organizations confirming the historical inequities that we already know. Our BIPOC communities have faced these challenges for decades. And it's time now that we share our stories. It's time now that we have an opportunity to say, you know what? We should have a say in the planning and the implementation of what is best for our schools, what is best for our families and our education community, right? And if you are going to test us, help us, give us the resources and the tools, right? Don't just take the data and run with it. That's our story. Let us tell our stories. So today we have an awesome group of folks, right, here from across the state to share their experiences and what they're seeing from their perspectives as students, parents, and community members. So I'm just going to pass it off to Jonathan now to kick us off. Thank you.
Thank you, Vatsari. I would say good morning again to everybody that is here with us. My name is Jonathan Guzman. That's Jonathan, Guzman, Guzman. And I'm a 27-year-old young elected vice chair member of the Lawrence School Committee. And I'm also a fellow Lawrence High School alumnus. I'd like to use these few moments with you to confront the danger that is before us, one that no one can avoid, as the city of Boston witnessed a few months ago. Many individuals refer to this danger as receivership, dictatorship, or state takeover. But what they all have in common is that it's an undemocratic process that our own legislative allies established back in 2010. An accountability measure is what you hear from those that supported these interventions that were supposed to help districts that were failing, a system that was not designated to serve underserved communities and support our students thrive. Imagine being from a district where 90% of the budget comes from Chapter 70 and 10% is provided through local level funding. And that is 70% of our local body. But no matter what we look into the limitations of funding and how we look into providing our students and our community with the needed resources, it is not enough. And we want our schools to excel, show improvement, hire, retain personnel, provide more classroom opportunities, increase testing scores, and the list goes on. Imagine your district being placed under receivership in 2011, and it was discovered in 2019 that not every student had a high quality learning opportunity that led to a successful school and post-secondary experience. For many years, both the Department of Education and the Commonwealth have failed to provide the resources that economically disadvantaged communities require. The Student Opportunity Act exposed this disparity that students face, such as Lawrence, where 92% of the students are high needs, and 70 and 84% are low income currently. And this student population demographic is similar from 2011. If that doesn't make you upset, you haven't experienced what it's like to walk into a room and feel how people look at you with disappointment or with fear from saying what school you're coming from. But what can you expect from a system that prioritizes high-stake testing over students? Or did we overlook the 2019 MCAS controversial question, which positioned students who look, speak, and feel overlooked like me to be openly asked to partake in an unpleasant racist experience? However, the department response was not to grade the question. Again, what do we expect from an environment where a BESI member openly stated in 2021 against Lawrence, and I quote, "We know they cannot change themselves because they never do," in the middle of a meeting, and still today, he is rewarded by being allowed to sit on the board. Lawrence has been in the hands of the state for more than 11 years to save us. But the receivership law does not put them or the commissioner in a probation for failing. But it does allow them to reimagine or close schools that are not providing the positive data that they're looking for, because they want to show this experiment to the world and say, look how good is doing for this particular community. But what we do know is that the law says what a receiver is. And what we got in Lawrence is an appointed, legal, and democratic with no proven record of working with underperforming systems. And it's a board, not a person. No one will choose to be us right now. And I urge you to join us in this fight and help us pass the Thrive Act, which will address the immediate local needs of ending undemocratic state takeovers and high state assessments that are used as barriers to block students from obtaining their hard-earned high school diploma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. We also want to give a shout out to Senator Gomez and his staff for being here with us today. And Senator Steele as well, thank you for joining us. So you'll see legislators and their staffs popping in and out today, and we appreciate them joining. We know that there's a big day on the Hill, so we'd love to chat with them here, chat with them in the legislative offices. I'd love now to pass the mic over to Ileana Rivas here. Ileana Rivas. Yeah, I got it. Third time. Here's the mic.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Eliana Rivas, Eliana Rivas, Rivas. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior at Fenway High School here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I am here not to only talk about my story, but those students who are not able to be here and who are never heard by any school system. Last year, a group of students in my school student government and in collaboration with the Boston student, with BSAC, organized a student-led town hall to both educate students and also create a space for BPS students to share why we did not want receivership or state takeover. This was a space where students that did not know what receivership meant, we were able to share and say, this is not what we want. We saw that MCAS scores do not show what this, the education that we actually need, and it does not represent the hard work that we put in the schools. We were being taken over by standardized tests, and I will share an example in my school. In my school, most of our population is students, English language learners, or students with disabilities, specifically autism. When the state would look at my school's standardized test scores, what they would see were low test scores, but it was not because our students were not performing highly, that we were not qualified to go to college, to go to a trade school, to go to community college, or start a career. It was because a lot of the students, English language learners, students with autism, the MCAS was not made for them. It was not created for them to succeed and for them to look like they were on track to graduate, which they are. And they have been shown to have been prepared to be excellent and succeed after high school. But the MCAS scores do not show that. I also want to say that the space that we create at the school with, specifically with the town hall, was because we believe that our voice matters, that we matter, and the state and the education system unfortunately has not been listening to us. We hope that the Thrive Act would give us the chance to be a part of the planning and improvement at the state level, because our voice matters, and what we have shown and what we have seen is not what is represented in how much work and what we matter. Lastly, I will say that our school systems have reached a critical point where it is imperative that we finally pay attention to those who are affected by their decisions. The voices have long been neglected and excluded from the decision-making process. Black, Indigenous, and students of color. The time for change is now. Schools and government must urgently recognize and honor the significance of our experiences and perspectives and how they affect our education with the Thrive Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker joins us from Fall River, Soleil Gas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Soleil Guasp, and I am a graduate of BMC Durfee High School in Fall River, class of 2022. And also a current first-generation college student attending Harvard. So it is with utmost privilege today that I get to stand up here today and express my support for the Thrive Act. I stand today in favor of equal access, in favor of affirmative action, and most importantly, hope. Hope for those who dare to dream big, such as myself. I've actually had the honor of previously working with organizations such as MCAS, which I owe all thanks for letting me speak today. During the pandemic is when I really opened my eyes to the educational disparities that my community already faced. Virtual learning had already amplified those issues, as the transition had made preparation for MCAS nearly impossible and increasingly difficult. I witnessed countless peers of mine fall short due to technology and internet accessibility problems, on top of facing the daily challenges of home life that I'm all too familiar with. I speak to you today as one of those students, as a first-generation, low-income daughter of immigrant parents, and a student who has invested so much of my time and energy to the focus of diversifying curriculum and equitable approaches to education. The MCAS is supposedly designed to produce results that will improve curriculum and instruction, so the state can identify areas for improvement and make sure students have met their graduation requirements. Many students in my district, as well as Boston Public Schools, are first-generation English language learners that are required to pass this exam that is only in English. Not only is the MCAS required for a high school diploma, but also for the seal of biliteracy, which is an indicator of proficiency in another language that colleges see, as well as the Abigail Adams Scholarship, which is a merit-based scholarship solely based on your scores. Utilizing MCAS as the sole measure to receive a high school diploma, as well as many other things, shows just how detached the system is from students who make up our school who already have to deal with underfunding. We live in a country where now more than ever we are facing the largest educator shortage in history. Policy decisions are being made not in favor of educators and students, but used as a way to enhance control. Opportunity and achievement gaps are a symptom of a long-standing social inequity that all our schools face. There are countless studies already proving that standardized testing is not the true indicator for academic success as seen by the SAT, where most top colleges have already made it optional. What makes MCAS any different? MCAS has not only proven to be outdated, but also steer us away from the true purpose of education. We have forgotten that the breadth of our curriculum should focus on exploration, to push students to partake in courses that challenge them and develop their full potential, rather than on test preparation. If there is anything that I have learned through schooling, is that education is the antidote to narrow-mindedness. By supporting this act, we are redefining success and bringing hope to students of my background for higher education. I am only one of many students who stand against this unrighteous approach that is MCAS and means to predict a student's academic success. I stand with educators that are affected by the performances of their students in ways that limit the flexibility of their learning styles. I stand for test-optional students, such as myself, graduating and reaching their fullest potential for higher education. Nourishing the ideas of the Thrive Act to blossom new innovative methods of education allow future generations to take learning into their own hands and prevent them from repeating the same mistake we have imposed upon ourselves throughout history. Now more than ever is the time that we need to stop systems that enable a blaring disparity that inherently disadvantages our basic education. Now is the time to redefine success that shall no longer be determined by the income, race, or the test score of a student, but rather by their accomplishments that they have imposed on themselves to a better understanding of education. And that time is now. Thank you.
Thanks, Soleil. We're going to come back to Boston with a Boston parent of two school students?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to remember because they're awesome kids. Suleika Soto here from Boston.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for being here to help us hopefully pass this very important act that will allow our students to thrive as much as we all know that they can, right? So in Boston, we were able to delay the threat of takeover and receivership, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't still exist. Until we pass something like the Thrive Act, we will still be under this threat just as any other district in Massachusetts. So why did we fight so hard in Boston against the Thrive Act? And why are we here advocating for the Thrive Act so that hopefully the districts that are now under state takeover can get out of it? It's because in Boston, we have what's called shared decision making. What does that mean? It means that our students, our parents, our educators all have a voice in the policies and the budgets and in advocating for the resources that they need for their schools, because any district, not only Boston, Lawrence knows what they need, right? Holyoke knows what they need, Southbridge knows what they need, and we all know the talent that we have within our systems. So why use a system that is punitive, that is not required by federal law, right? That is keeping back so many students, our students that we know have been mostly marginalized, our Black students, our brown students, our multilingual learners, our students with disabilities, is who they're telling us by using these test scores that are failing. You're telling our students they're failing, you're telling our educators they're failing, you're telling our schools and communities that they are failing, when in reality what we need is the support, right, to be able to thrive and to show what it is that our students are capable of doing. Because we're all capable of being as good as the support that we also get, right? Because we can't do it all on our own, just like our districts can't do it on their own. So what does this act do? It makes it so that there's more support given, not state takeover, not more punishment. But it makes it so that the state has to provide the resources necessary in order for our students to thrive, and that way we could show what we could really do. So the MCAS, and I'll just say, I remember when I was, growing up, when I was in high school, it was only 2 tests, right? It was English and it was math. Now we're up to, I don't know, is it like 5 subjects that students have to pass now? And it's ridiculous because we're adding more punishment, right? Again, we're asking our educators and our students to learn to a test that is not going to help them at all, and then we're punishing them when we're not giving them the resources necessary. So I'm here today again to advocate to keep local control of our districts, again, because nothing without us, nothing for us without us, right? The people that are being mostly impacted by the decisions that folks that are on the board that do not look like us, are making, are the folks that are supposed to be on the forefront of what's going on. And that's what the Thrive Act does. It provides the support necessary for our students who have been more historically marginalized. It keeps local control and local voice in the communities where they need to be. So I, again, want to thank everyone that's here today for coming and supporting this, and I hope that we can get this through so that way we can make sure that all our students can thrive. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Suleika. I'll go ahead and pass it over to T-Win.
Hi everyone, it's so amazing to see parents, students, and educators come from different districts come together today to fight for our education. And this shouldn't happening. My name is T1 and I'm a rising sophomore and a 4th generation student at Tufts University and a former student at Excel High School, the one in South Boston. And it's an honor for me to be here today. I'm glad that last year the state didn't put Boston Public School in state receivership, but the process and everything that we have been through is still unfair for us. The state leader need to listen to our students and educate them more. Standardized tests like MCAS shouldn't be the factor to determine the performance of a school or the competencies of our students, because all we're receiving is poor funding, raw materials, and inequitable resources. Even more so, many students in PBS are in special ed programs or first generation English language learner who are required to pass a test in English only in order to graduate is so unfair for us. With the poor funding and resources, state intervention like turnaround or receivership are not the solution to improve performance. It is obvious that receivership hasn't helped other districts like Lawrence, or so how can it be effective on PBS, a really big and complex district? As a result of turnaround and receivership, many teachers are fired. In February 2017, 90% of teachers at Excel High School and staff were dismissed as part of the school turnaround plan because the state leader believed that educators are the cause of low performing. This is not what the community wanted. They never know that one of Excel power is an inclusive atmosphere characterized by the positive relationship between our students and teachers. If you ask any Excel student or educator what's their favorite part of Excel, their answer would be the people there. Therefore, we need more sustainable solution. I believe passing the Thrive Act will encourage school and district to reorient student learning and assessment in a more appropriate way that can fully support the whole trial. More importantly, to eliminate the state intervention. Give us the resources without taking control of our school. Many PBS schools have been struggling for years because there's no clear plan or getting enough funding and resources. Let's end that cycle now. It's time for state and city authorities to stop dictating and start listening to us as students and educators. We are the ones who experience what's happening with our school, so we know what we need. Thank you.